Hello everyone. Today we're going to work on a technique called shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to English and repeat what you hear at the same time. This technique has amazing benefits for your English learning. As we go through today's story, I encourage you to pause after each sentence and try to repeat it out loud. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to practice and improve gradually. Now, are you ready? Let's dive into the story.
My name is Jessica Martinez. I am 31 years old. I work as a graphic designer for a marketing agency in downtown Austin, Texas. I have never been athletic, and I've avoided gyms my entire life. But 3 weeks ago, something happened that changed everything. I had been feeling exhausted for months. My doctor recommended exercise to improve my energy levels and sleep quality. After weeks of procrastination, I finally bought a membership at Peak Fitness, a 24-hour gym just 5 minutes from my apartment. I am not comfortable in fitness environments. I prefer creative spaces like art studios and coffee shops. The idea of working out in front of strangers terrified me. But I was desperate to feel better. I live alone in a converted loft apartment filled with art supplies and design projects. My lifestyle is sedentary and creative. I spend most days at my computer, designing logos and advertisements for local businesses. I rarely leave my apartment except for work meetings and grocery shopping. My social circle is small. I have a few colleagues and artist friends, but I spend most evenings working on personal projects or watching Netflix. I am more comfortable expressing myself through design than through conversation. I had never owned gym clothes or athletic shoes. Physical fitness felt like a foreign language I had never learned to speak. On my first visit to Peak Fitness, I arrived at 11:30 at night, hoping to avoid crowds. The gym was almost empty, which made me feel less self-conscious about my inexperience. I spent 20 minutes on a treadmill, lifted some light weights, and left quickly. The experience was uncomfortable but not terrible. I decided to return the next night at the same time. Over the following week, I established a routine. I would go to the gym every night around 11:30, do a simple workout, and leave by 12:30. The late hour meant I encountered the same small group of regulars each night. There was Marcus, a personal trainer who worked late shifts. There was Elena, a nurse who came after her hospital shifts ended. There was David, an older man who seemed to live at the gym. And there was someone else. Every night, I noticed a woman using the gym's private training room in the back corner. The room had frosted glass walls, so I could see her silhouette but not her face. She always arrived after midnight and stayed until the gym closed at 2 a.m. She moved differently from everyone else. Her workouts looked more like dance than traditional exercise. She was graceful and focused, completely absorbed in her movements. I became curious about this mysterious late-night regular. After my second week at the gym, I asked Marcus about the woman in the private room. His expression changed immediately. He looked around nervously before answering. Marcus told me her name was Victoria, and she had a special arrangement with the gym owner. She paid extra to use the private room during overnight hours. Marcus said she was dealing with some stuff, and preferred to work out alone. He warned me not to bother her. Marcus's reaction made me even more curious. What kind of stuff would make someone need complete privacy for their workouts? Why did she only come after midnight? I started paying closer attention to Victoria's schedule and routine. She arrived every night between 12:15 and 12:30. She always entered through the back door, which required a special key code. She never spoke to anyone and left exactly when the gym closed. One night, I stayed later than usual to observe her workout through the frosted glass. Her movements were definitely not typical gym exercises. She seemed to be practicing some kind of martial arts or choreographed fighting sequence. It looked almost like combat training. The following evening, I arrived early and positioned myself on an exercise bike where I could see the private room clearly. When Victoria entered, I got my first good look at her face. She was beautiful but tired-looking, with short black hair and athletic build. She carried a large gym bag and wore all black workout clothes. But what caught my attention were the faded bruises on her arms and a small bandage on her cheek. Victoria looked like someone who had been in a fight. I wondered if she was a professional fighter or martial arts instructor. But that didn't explain the secretive behavior and late-night schedule. Professional fighters usually trained during normal hours with coaches and partners. Victoria's solitary, secretive training suggested something else entirely. After watching her for several more nights, I noticed a pattern in her movements. She wasn't just exercising or practicing fighting techniques. She was rehearsing specific sequences, repeating the same combinations over and over. It looked like she was preparing for something specific. My curiosity overcame my caution. One night, I finished my workout but lingered in the locker room until I heard Victoria leaving. I followed her at a distance as she walked to the parking garage. Victoria drove a black motorcycle and wore a leather jacket over her gym clothes. She looked like someone from an action movie, not like the suburban gym members I was used to seeing. I followed her motorcycle from my car, keeping several vehicles between us. Victoria drove through downtown Austin to an industrial area I had never visited. She parked outside a warehouse with no signs or identifying marks. Several other motorcycles were already parked outside the building. I watched from across the street as Victoria entered the warehouse. Through a small window, I could see bright lights inside and hear the sound of people shouting encouragement. I realized Victoria wasn't preparing for martial arts competition or fitness goals. She was training for underground fighting. The warehouse was hosting illegal fight events, and Victoria was one of the fighters. Her late-night gym sessions were preparation for actual combat, not exercise. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, trying to process what I had discovered. Victoria's mysterious behavior, her injuries, her secretive training schedule, it all made sense now. But it also raised new questions. Why was she involved in underground fighting? Was she in financial trouble? Was someone forcing her to fight? I decided to drive home and forget what I had seen. Victoria's business was not my concern, and I didn't want to get involved in anything illegal or dangerous. But I couldn't stop thinking about her. Over the next few days, I researched underground fighting in Austin. I learned that illegal fight clubs existed in many cities, offering large cash prizes to winners. The events were dangerous and unregulated, attracting desperate people who needed money quickly. I began to see Victoria differently. Instead of a mysterious fighter, she might be someone in trouble who had few other options. I decided to try to talk to her. The following night, I positioned myself outside the private training room when Victoria arrived. As she approached the door, I stepped forward and introduced myself. Victoria looked surprised and defensive. She asked what I wanted and why I had been watching her. Her voice was cautious but not hostile. I explained that I was new to the gym and had noticed her dedication to training. I said I was curious about her workout routine and wondered if she could give me advice about fitness goals. Victoria studied my face for several seconds before responding. She said she preferred to train alone and couldn't help me with fitness advice. But something in her expression suggested she was considering whether to trust me. I pressed gently, saying I respected her privacy but would appreciate any guidance from someone who was obviously very experienced with physical training. Victoria looked around the empty gym, then made a decision that surprised both of us. She invited me into the private training room. The room was larger than it appeared from outside, with mirrors on every wall and professional-grade equipment. Victoria explained that she trained in mixed martial arts and had been fighting professionally for 6 years. She didn't mention the underground fights, but she talked about her background in martial arts and her approach to training. Victoria was intelligent and articulate, very different from the dangerous persona I had imagined. As we talked, I realized Victoria was lonely. Despite her tough appearance and secretive behavior, she seemed to appreciate having someone to talk to about her passion for fighting. I asked if she would be willing to teach me basic self-defense techniques. Victoria considered the request carefully before agreeing to show me a few simple moves. For the next hour, Victoria taught me basic defensive positions and movements. She was patient and encouraging, completely different from the intimidating figure I had been observing from a distance. As our impromptu lesson ended, Victoria asked why I was really interested in self-defense. Something in her tone suggested she suspected I knew more about her situation than I had admitted. I decided to be honest. I told Victoria I had followed her to the warehouse and seen the underground fights. I said I was concerned about her safety and wondered if she needed help. Victoria's expression hardened immediately. She asked why I had been spying on her and what I planned to do with the information. I assured Victoria that I had no intention of reporting her activities to anyone. I explained that I was worried about her welfare and wanted to understand why someone with her obvious intelligence and skills was involved in illegal fighting. Victoria was quiet for several minutes, weighing her options. Finally, she decided to tell me her story. Victoria had been a professional MMA fighter with a promising career. 2 years ago, her younger brother had been diagnosed with leukemia. His medical treatments weren't fully covered by insurance, and the family faced bankruptcy trying to pay for his care. Victoria had exhausted her savings and taken loans against her future fight earnings. When those weren't enough, she had started participating in underground fights for immediate cash payments. The illegal fights paid much more than professional events, but they were dangerous and completely unregulated. Victoria had been injured several times, but she continued fighting because her brother's life depended on the money. Victoria's brother was now in remission, but the family still owed massive medical debts. She was trapped in the underground fighting circuit, trying to earn enough money to become free. As Victoria told her story, I understood why she had been so secretive and defensive. She was ashamed of her situation but saw no alternative. I asked if she had considered crowdfunding or other ways to raise money for medical expenses. Victoria said she had tried several options, but the amount needed was too large for conventional fundraising. I suggested we research other possibilities together. As a graphic designer, I had experience with marketing and social media campaigns. Perhaps we could find legal ways to raise the money she needed. Victoria was skeptical but agreed to let me help her explore alternatives to underground fighting. Over the next 2 weeks, we worked together to create an online fundraising campaign for her brother's medical expenses. I designed professional graphics and wrote compelling content explaining their situation. Victoria was uncomfortable asking for help publicly, but she recognized that crowdfunding was safer than continuing to risk her health in illegal fights. The campaign was more successful than either of us had expected. Victoria's story resonated with people who had faced similar medical crises. Donations came from strangers across the country who admired her dedication to her family. Within 6 months, we raised enough money to pay off the majority of her brother's medical debts. Victoria was able to stop participating in underground fights and return to legal professional competition. Our collaboration on the fundraising campaign had grown into a genuine friendship. Victoria helped me develop confidence and physical strength, while I helped her navigate the business and marketing aspects of professional fighting. Victoria taught me that courage comes in many forms. Her willingness to risk everything for her family was the bravest thing I had ever witnessed. Through Victoria, I learned that people's external appearances rarely tell their complete stories. The mysterious fighter I had been afraid to approach turned out to be one of the most loyal and principled people I had ever met. My decision to join Peak Fitness had been motivated by a desire to improve my physical health. But my real discovery was finding someone who taught me about mental and emotional strength. Victoria continues to compete professionally and has become a successful trainer. Her brother has remained healthy, and their family has recovered financially. I still work out at Peak Fitness, but now I train with Victoria during normal hours. She helped me discover physical capabilities I never knew I had. More importantly, she taught me that curiosity about other people can lead to meaningful connections and opportunities to help. If you take anything from my story, let it be this: don't make assumptions about people based on their behavior or appearance. Sometimes the most guarded individuals are protecting something precious, and they might need exactly the kind help you can provide. The next time you encounter someone who seems mysterious or unapproachable, consider that they might be dealing with challenges you can't imagine. Your willingness to show genuine interest and offer support could change both of your lives. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment and tell me about a time when getting to know someone better revealed an inspiring story you hadn't expected. Your engagement helps other English learners find these stories and practice their listening skills.